as promised, Big Van on campus, very special. A follow-up Big Van on campus. Joining us now, we've got a college football name that we all know, TJ Finley, in the place to be. TJ, how's it going, man?
It's going good. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, I'll turn it over to you, Van. This is you. You talked about TJ a couple weeks ago, and we want to kind of hear your story first, TJ, and then we'll talk about what's happening in college football. But Van, I'll turn it over to you, man.
Yeah, so TJ, before before we get into the conversation around players like yourself and extended college football careers, I read an article in the Advocate about you. Down there. I'm from Baton Rouge,
Gotcha.
and I just want to hear your story as you tell it. Tell your
Mm.
college football story to people who have an opinion, like myself, on your college football journey. Tell your story.
Yeah, man, it's been a whirlwind of events. And if you were to tell me 3 or 4 years ago that my college career would look like this, I would say you're full of shit.
You can say it, TJ. Just
Um,
let it fly, brother.
yeah, but I've matured into a very well spoken, understanding young man, and I have a responsibility now with my three younger boys, um, to help them understand what their father went through, right? Don't shy away from the truth, and to kind of live in it, right? So I'll take you back to 2020 LSU, COVID year. Wanted to stay close to the family. Was a good opportunity to be solidified as the backup. Me and Max Johnson were battling for that backup spot with Miles Brennan being the known starter. Miles goes down, gets hurt. I play 5, 6 games that year. Do pretty
Three
well.
touchdowns in your first game, TJ, if I remember
Mm-hmm.
correctly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And very promising, first couple games, and then, season as a freshman, I believe. And then, um, got some insight on what the next season would look like. So I made a decision for myself to be able to transfer to Auburn, knowing that, Coach O would only have 1 year left if we weren't to win that year. And knowing that Jamar Chase and all those guys were opting out, and we didn't have a lot of, we were going to be young. So as you could tell in 2021 season, they were very young, right? They had Kayshawn Butte, they had Brian Thomas Jr., they had Malik Neighbors and all of those guys, but they were all freshmen and sophomores, right? So very
Mm.
young team, but a very talented team, didn't do so well. I kind of saw that before it happened. Ended up going to Auburn. Brian Harson, we all know how that went.
Yeah.
Um, and then from that point on, it was kind of like, I need to put myself in a position where I'm playing. I'm on the field 24/7. I'm not having to split reps. I'm not having to do, and I'm also in explosive offense, right? So decided to go to Texas State. Those coaches that came over from UIW. They led their league in passing yards and total offense and stuff like that. So that was a great decision, in my opinion, to go there and submit myself in Texas State history, and to get back on the draft board, right? Just to be able to let everybody know that this kid can do it. He can spin it. He can come to the next level and be a secure backup and possibly fight for a job, to be a starter in the NFL. So this is where stuff gets a little rocky. So I have my twins in October of that year, right? 2023. And so now NIL has started to pick up a little bit. My last year at Auburn, then Texas State was kind of the start of the NIL type of deal.
So the NIL money
And
wasn't really coming in for you until that third school.
no, so I was getting NIL from Auburn
Okay.
my
Okay.
second year,
All right.
Mm.
right?
Okay.
The year that I won the job, and that's when I signed the Amazon deal. I had the auto sports deal with the company down in Alabama and stuff like that. So I was getting NIL there for sure. And then but at the time the G5 schools didn't really have anything, right?
Right.
So go to Texas State, have that year. I asked the coaches, coming back, if I were to come back, would you guys be able to financially help me take care of my boys? Right?
Mhm.
I can't really do that off $2,500 a month, $3,000 a month. It's not feasible, right? I my rent is $1,500 a month on top of gas and car note, all type of things, right? So I was genuinely deciding on either coming back or declaring for the NFL draft and just trying to make a roster, right? Because I'd rather go be a practice squad guy making you know, 12-5 a week for 18 weeks. You're just
Yeah, of
doing the
course.
math, right?
Yeah.
So I make that decision to come back, right? I announce it. I tell the coaches, look, I'm coming back. We'll figure out the finances later, however that looks. Well, 2 days later, I find out that they signed the Jaden Delore kid, right? A kid that has 1 year left, right? And to put this out there as well, nothing was communicated with me. Look, TJ, we're gonna bring in another guy to either have you compete with him, or he's gonna be the guy, or he's gonna be your backup. Just none of the three was communicated to me at all. So I found out through social media. I'm not a I'm not a guy that likes to tolerate disrespect. To me, that's disrespectful, right? For a guy that comes into your program, sets records, first bowl game in 20 plus years. So I'm kind of, I feel disrespected. So I had that conversation with them. No hard feelings or anything. And I just was like, listen, this is my decision that I'm going to make. I feel disrespected, and you're not bringing a guy that only has 1 year left for no reason. Um, so I made a decision to get in the portal. Then go to Western Kentucky with Coach Tyson Helton. He's the head coach over there. Amazing decision, in my opinion. Right, a guy that has three or four quarterbacks that's on active NFL rosters to this day. He's had high powered offenses. Since the first day he stepped foot at Western Kentucky campus. Right. Um, so I feel like that was a good decision going there. And then unfortunately, the second game of the third game of the season that year, I tear every ligament in my ankle, fracture my fibula. So season-ending injury, right? Um, so at this point, my boys are close to being 1 year. Well, they had turned 1 years old right around the time I had surgery, which is crazy to me now that I'm thinking about it. And then I had my newborn was still in the womb, right, and he was getting ready to come in February. So my whole deal with after the 2024 Western Kentucky season was, and Coach Helton and I sat down and had a conversation, and he's best friends with Coach John Summerall, right? Coach Summerall reaches out to him, and tells him that, listen, I think we're going to lose our quarterback to a P4 school. You guys have TJ or whatever. I had already shown interest to some inside people at Tulane that, listen, if you guys lose your quarterback, the possibility of me coming home, I would love that opportunity. So it was kind of like a deal where it just made sense, right, for everybody, right? I was coming home, I was able to be close to family. I was able to play for a school that, under Summerall, had a winning record and stuff like that. So I decided to go home and kind of make that my last hoorah, right? Have one more year left. And so that was my thought process going there. And then unfortunately, me making some bonehead decisions and not thinking things all the way through in regards to buying a vehicle. I put myself in a position where that opportunity was taken away from me, right? So having to, you know, get in the portal and kind of leave Tulane because of the ongoing pending investigation and stuff like
Right.
that. That kind of was that Tulane situation. So people like to say 7 schools in 7 years. I don't really count Tulane, right? Like I was only there for the spring and kind of got in trouble, and that's the reason why I wasn't able to finish my career there. Um, and then the only school available at the time of me getting in the portal, because a lot of guys had already had their guys right for the spring, and they had I got in the portal the last day of the spring portal window, right? So a lot of guys had been in since day one and were able to find and pick their schools, throughout the whole process. So the only school available and that was kind of open to taking me was Georgia State at the time, right? So I go there, um, and so go taking you guys back to Tulane. Well, once I got arrested, right? Tulane has a no, like I want to say no arrest or something policy in
Like a
their
no
in
tolerance
their
policy.
no tolerance, right? So I got arrested. Not only did I get arrested, but I got arrested on campus, right? This is right after football practice. I'm coming out to the truck I assumed that I owned. And I get arrested on campus, right? And so my my availability and my resources on campus were taken away from me, right? I wasn't able to go to tutoring and academic advising meetings and stuff like that with my advisors. I had to do everything via phone, right? So that ultimately made my grades drop. And in the graduate program in Tulane, if you don't pass so I was taking 3 courses at the time. If you don't pass either with a 3 point, no, I think it's 3.25 or all B's. So if your cumulative of the semester isn't a 3.25 in graduate program or all B's, then they kick you out of the program,
Huh.
right? So this is where it gets kind of weird. So I get in the portal and I'm assuming that I'm going to be able to start, and practice and do all that type of stuff as soon as I sign to a school. Well, that's not the case. So with Tulane putting it on my academic transcript that I was academically ineligible at the time that I left Tulane because I was kicked out of their program.
Right.
I had to file a waiver slash hardship saying that, due to my circumstances, due to me being wrongfully arrested and stuff like that, because those charges ended up, getting dropped due to me completing my diversion program. Um, you know, so I had to do all that and go to the NCAA, and they didn't give us an answer until I think it was like 3 or 4 days before we played Ole Miss, and so I had missed the entire fall camp. I missed the
Mm.
entire off season with them, and then week two we play some FCS school. That was my first. No, I'm sorry. Week two we played Memphis, and at the time
Mm.
Memphis was the top G5 school
It
to
was
be
rocking, yeah.
Yeah.
they were going to get the playoff spot had they kept keep
Hmm.
winning and stuff like that. But
Right.
so yeah, man, it's been and honestly, I sat down with a lot of my coaches at Georgia State because they were a lot younger, right? So they were kind of understanding the situations I had put myself in. Um, and I was like, what do I do? Like I love this game. I want to play. But like it's been a lot, bro. Like and people don't understand my story. They laugh at it. They this, that, and the third. Yes, I mean it's funny at times or whatever, like the memes and stuff. That's cool and all. But like when you sit down and just evaluate everything that TJ Finley has been through and all the decisions that he's made, a lot of the decisions to go from school to school were very calculated and were for a specific reason, right? Like the transfer from Texas State to Western Kentucky was great offense to even better offense, right? The transfer from Western Kentucky to Tulane was okay. He has kids. He's not able to be in their lives. The situation, they lost their quarterback. It was perfect, right? It was a perfect fit. He's able to come home, compete for the job, be the starter in his hometown. Like that's perfect, right? So I don't know. It's the deciding factor for me to jump back in the portal for this last time and kind of put myself in a position where I can have another full year and be healthy and produce to show NFL execs like, okay, this kid has been through a lot. He's a warrior. And he doesn't give up. He's gonna keep fighting no matter what the circumstances are. I think that's where my mindset is now.
Mm.
So when you see the 7 schools in 7 years, when you see all the things that you just listed, there's another part of that, which is a changing landscape of college football to where you're used to a guy coming in and playing for your team, representing your team and your culture and your state or whatever it is,
Hmm.
playing for your team, maybe transferring once, maybe even twice, and then
Right.
leaving. There are people that think your story,
Hmm.
forget about that. I'll speak for myself. When I look at being a college football fan my entire life and seeing
Yeah.
somebody go to 7 different places and
Right.
it doesn't feel like college football. It seems like that story puts the game and the tradition that I love in jeopardy. It
Right.
seems untenable and unsustainable. So I
Right.
think a lot of the animus that you see for you trying to get another year or the NIL conversations or all of that stuff is because how can college football continue to exist in the way that college football has existed if you can A, play for 7 years and then B, play for 7 different schools?
Right.
It scares people. Like, what do you say
Yeah.
to that?
I think you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable, right? I think it goes back to things aren't the way things were 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 10 plus years ago. So you guys that know and love college football the way it was in you guys' era, I think you now have to look at it and kind of say like it's still college football, but really like we're kind of transitioning into pro football, right?
Yeah.
We're basically being paid for play now. Like, our contracts and our money and direct deposits. Like my direct deposit from Georgia State literally said Georgia State like we're getting paid exactly from the university. Like it's different now, right? And I was having a conversation with my father the other day, and I was like, Pops, like, people can look at my story and laugh at it, but also like I might be one of the first athletes, for this change of how college football is now. Like, and so maybe, what's the word? Like people will be able to laugh at it, but at the end of the day, like my name will kind of be cemented
You
in.
feel like you're a trailblazer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly,
you're a
right. So
pioneer, right?
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah. So I think that's how it's kind of moving and transitioning. If I'm being honest.
I mean, you kind of came up with a really lovely way to call us old. To people in your era, your era of college football. It sounded like when people, but TJ, I actually had a question for you. So
Mhm.
it is interesting because before you came on here, like before I'd read a little bit more about your story, I think there's a real way to be like, man, I bet TJ had a lot of fun in college, man. He went to going down to Texas State, being at LSU, being at Auburn or whatever. But as we've talked with you, it feels to me, and you can just tell me, and you kind of hinted at this, that it feels more like a business. Like this is a very transactional sort of thing. So is it true that this feels like a business for you now? And at what point did this all start to feel like a business and not just I'm a Louisiana kid, my dream is to play at LSU?
Yeah, I think the second I left LSU, it became business, right? I think a lot of why I made the decision to go to LSU was I'm this hometown kid. I'm the hometown hero. Let's stay in Louisiana and make it happen in Louisiana, right? Then who doesn't want to play for the national championship team, right?
Of
Who
course.
who who doesn't want to follow that year up and try to compete for another natty and SEC championship, things like that. I think as I've transitioned into, a more mature young man and being on my own and stuff like that, it's kind of, the second I left LSU, it kind of turned into a business, and it's been business transactions from that point on. But but not only just business, but being able to network with so many different people, right? So many different ethnicities, race, all type of things, religious backgrounds. A lot of different coaches that I've had to, you know, kind of what's the word, like I've just met so many people,
Yeah.
so many coaches, and I think that's kind of what's been helping me out so far. Is
Yeah.
I've everywhere I've went, like I have a good background, I have a good, I leave a good impression on that university and on that coaching staff. So I think it's always been, ever since LSU, it's always been business for me.
So you have graduated, right? So you've gotten
Yeah.
a degree.
Yes.
What's your
True.
degree in?
I graduated from Auburn in 2024. No, 2023. I'm sorry, in business marketing.
TJ, you realize you've been in college so long you don't remember what the year that you graduated.
Absolutely. And what's crazy is I didn't walk either. So we were in fall camp at Texas State, around the time that Auburn had their ceremony. And so I decided not to walk to make sure I was dialed in for the fall camp.
What
Well,
if
that's business right there.
Yeah.
It is. But what if I told you that you have 3 kids, you're a college graduate, you got
Right.
a degree from a school that they can't play no football, but it's a good school. Shout out to the Auburn War Eagle people. All right.
Oh, okay.
You have a degree. There is a thought that you are actually, by continuing on your journey as a college football player, prolonging your career as a college football player, but stifling your development as a man to go out and get a job, to go out and provide for that family with a college degree to do so. If you continue on your journey and you achieve your dream and you make it to the NFL, I don't know that anybody that's a good person and a good-hearted person that wouldn't want you to do that. But what about the people that would say, you know what, I want brothers and young men like yourself to realize that they are more than football. that they are more than what they can do with their right arm or their body, and that they can take their degrees and go into society and make money and provide for their families doing stuff with their minds as well.
TJ, if you want me to go after him, I'll do it. You know, if you want me,
I'm gonna take a
Okay.
little piece and then I'm gonna let you get a little piece.
Okay, yeah.
So what
Yeah.
what you
Damn, I'm
like
about to run a
to
train.
people that thinks and says those type of things? I'm gonna just say this, and I'm gonna let my guy go at you because I know y'all probably are a lot closer in relationship than me and you are. But would you rather be, if we're talking about taking care of your family and kids and all of that stuff, right? How many guys at the age in between the age of 23 and 27, 28 are making six figures a year?
How many people are making six figures a year?
Yeah,
Not as
like
many as there used to be.
absolutely. So
Yeah.
if you were to tell me that, if you were to tell me that statistic, right, and then you would tell me that you could play in college football for 7 years and make six figures a year consistently on, which route would you go?
Which route would I go?
Yeah, I'm at anybody, whoever.
Yeah.
What sounds more feasible to you? Would you
Well,
rather
I mean, so
go
I
play?
agree with what
Would
you're
you
saying.
rather
Like,
go play the game that you love to play and compete at the highest level and
That's right. Tell
continue to chase your dream for however long you can do it and make six figures, or would you rather go box Amazon packages and like let's be honest. I think a lot of people that think like that, they're self-sabotaging themselves. Like,
right.
why would you give up on the dream that if people are, let's say, it's not like I'm paying a school to walk on to their, like guys are reaching out to me and giving me opportunities to continue my career. It's
so
not
there
like
have been,
I'm,
real quick, there have been teams that have reached out to you that have given you the opportunity to continue to play college football.
absolutely.
Okay, so
And
there's
you would
interest in that.
Yes, you would be a fool if
Okay.
you didn't think so.
Call him a fool. Yeah, that's right.
Hey, look,
Yeah.
I could be a fool.
Yeah,
I'm
call
trying
him
to
a
get
fool.
the story here. I'm not,
No, not him specifically. I'm just
slurping.
saying in general, like.
Yeah. Well, he is a fool, but that's fine.
So,
But yeah, I'll go ahead.
so this is what I understand what you're saying. The best way for you to make money right now is as a college football player, right?
Yes.
You're going that right. The most money you can make right now is as a college football player. Okay. Now, if I'm wrong about it, say that.
Sure.
Okay. So I mean, what I'm gathering is what you're saying right now is my skill set allows me to go make the most money
Yes.
possible as a college
Absolutely.
football player right now. Okay?
Absolutely, yes.
But you're also thinking about a future in the NFL and a future providing for your family.
Yes.
You think you still have a shot at the NFL?
I believe so, yes.
How much does your opportunity at the NFL influence the decision that you're making right now? Is it more about you still having the chance to go make millions of dollars in the league, or is it about the right now of you being a college football player and being able to provide for your family in the immediacy of this moment?
It's more so about the opportunity to, I wouldn't even say make millions in the NFL. Like, it's more about the opportunity to make it to the NFL, period.
And you don't feel like you have enough tape right now to go into the NFL and get drafted?
No, not with what the 2 years for my, no, sir, I do not.
You've made 33 starts. How much more tape do you feel like you need?
I think I need a full healthy season.
Okay.
And I think I need to, just a full healthy season and a productive, healthy season. I think with the last 2 years with the injury and all of that stuff, I think that hindered my opportunity to either get drafted late, 6th, 7th round, or be a high priority undrafted free agent.
Okay. Last question before I let Joe go.
Yeah, I was supposed to get my piece earlier, but that's okay.
Yeah, last question before I let Joe go. With everything that's happened with you, with everything that the rocky road that you've had in your college football career, and by the way, let's just be real, a lot of people, for things within their control and outside of their control, have college football careers that are up and down. All kinds of people. Some people, they find their way. Some people, they end up going to do it at the next level, or they find their way to the NFL in a different way. How much of what you've gone through in your college career is a result, do you feel like, of bad breaks and bad luck? And how much of it do you feel like is mistakes that you made as a quarterback or as a guy?
I would say I I'm a guy that takes a lot of accountability, right? I'm responsible for the things that happen in my life, right? God willing that, anything happens, I'm responsible for it, right? And I think the things that I've went through were for a reason, and I've learned and grown in those seasons. I think a lot of my career and how it went was a mixture of both, right? I think injuries are out of my control. I think I don't want to really call it disrespect, but just not communicating between player and coaches, kind of, turmoils a relationship, and that player doesn't want to play for you anymore.
Yeah.
I think those are bad breaks and kind of out of my control, right? And the trouble I got myself into at Tulane is my control, right? Me leaving Auburn, and, after an injury, kind of out of my control, right? Me leaving LSU was my control.
Right.
Like, so I think it's about 50-50. Like, I didn't have to leave LSU my sophomore year and go to Auburn. I could have, stayed and competed another year and just saw how it went out. But I think it's about equal.
Joel, get your piece.
All right, let me get my piece. Well, I mean, y'all already really covered it most of it, but I mean, because I think TJ said it and said it very well, that this is setting him up, right? Like, this is what you think is the best case scenario for you to get to the NFL. So keep keeping that in mind. Like, what are you looking for? Are you trying to go to a school and start thinking I'm gonna get 12 starts, or you want to go to like a high profile place and be a backup and just kind of show the NFL that, hey, I can also serve in a reserve capacity too and get all those reps?
Yeah, I think both have definitely been thoughts and options for sure. I've been reached out to in both capacities. I think me personally, and this is conversation that I've had with high profile schools as well. I'm an ultimate competitor, right? Like, I can be a backup and be a service guy, but I don't think that will get me to the NFL.
Of
Like,
course it won't.
I know I'm just not a believer in that. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not, the way my career has went, the way things have unfolded. I think, even if I were to go to a big FCS school and throw for 3,500 yards and stay healthy and stuff like that, like, the league would still see me as a very good, possible backup and stuff like that. And I think who I am as a person would allow them to believe that, this guy would be a good service to our team. He'll be a great locker room guy, this, that, and the third. And those would be conversations that I would have pre-draft, right? Like, letting guys know, yeah, I've been a starter everywhere I've went. But I do not have a problem, competing with a guy that you bring in, pushing him to be better, and also being a leader and a vocal leadership. The leadership doesn't go anywhere just because I'm not starting, right? I think
That's right.
me being a starter everywhere I've went, that kind of allows me to see things in a bird's eye view, of helping guys and pushing guys and things like that. I think that's the kind of the story and the narrative that I'm going with when it comes to the NFL draft.
So, TJ, you are a quarterback.
Right.
So you are the tone setter for the entire offense, but really, as a starting quarterback, the tone setter for the entire team.
Absolutely.
How important for you is it for you to demonstrate, not even necessarily with what you do on the field in your play and your numbers, but the fact that you can demonstrate consistency at a place? Because particularly with the quarterback going to a bunch of different places, being around this long, what it looks like to a lot of people is that you can't maintain the competitive consistency and the cultural standard that needs to undergird a program, which is what people are looking for in a quarterback. How important is it for you to show people that you can stay healthy a whole season, that you can keep a team up a whole season, that you can keep a team operating for a whole season, that you can put together a consistency and a standard that your college can benefit from and your employer in the NFL can look at and say, okay, I can trust this guy every Sunday to come in and be a backup, or every Sunday to come in and be a starter, or to be a productive part of our culture that we know maybe we'll fight through some injuries, or maybe you won't make that mistake. Do you need a full season all of those games of doing that to demonstrate that to people, that you have your head on straight?
I don't think I need a full season to demonstrate that, but
Okay.
that is a good insight that I'm able to now look at it that way as well. That like you said, employers in the NFL are looking for guys like that, right? But I don't think you can look at my career and say that I'm not that 100%, right? I think the situations that I've put myself in each and every program that I've been to, I've been able to uphold a high standard of excellence at each university, right? And I think it just goes based off just conversations and knowing me as a person, right? I think sitting down and understanding who TJ Finley is as a person and what he cares about and the things that matter to him the most, you'll just have to make that decision for yourself. Is this guy gonna be, am I willing to lay my money on the line for this kid and for him to be trustworthy? I think if you look outside in, you might be able to say like, yeah, this, that's the case. But if you truly sit down and have the conversation and kind of, go about it that way, I think, guys will feel comfortable.
I don't want
doing that.
Well, TJ, I don't want to make any presumptions about like what's next for you, whatever. But I look at your resume actually, and I think, oh, that sounds like a coach. Like I look at somebody that you've been under a bunch of different coaches, offensive coordinators, a bunch of different systems. So you've had a lot of exposure to that.
Right.
You've had to make friends in a bunch of different locker rooms. It ain't like you left and people have been like, man, we glad TJ Finley is gone, right?
Absolutely.
And so that's a big part of it too. Like you've been able to assimilate into all these different cultures. So I'm just kind of wondering, is that been something that you've also been talking about with your board of directors, so to speak, and also these coaches about, hey, I could probably do this coaching thing too.
No, because
Really?
This man want to play football, Joe.
But not
Stop trying
only
to
that-
make him into a coach, Joe.
Well,
Stop
no,
trying to
because
change
you know what?
position.
Because
Next
you
thing
know
you
what
gonna
it
do,
is?
you gonna
No,
tell me he
TJ,
need to play
because TJ,
safety.
I'm
Nah,
gonna
stop
take
trying
this.
to. This man want to play football. He done already said that.
Look, listen, just listen. Because here's the thing. I feel like I'm not gonna put this on you, TJ, but I feel like if you were 6 shades lighter, you would have had that pipeline. Them coaches would have groomed you for all that. They'd be like, oh, yeah, this is somebody who's been in all these different huddles, all these different locker rooms, and there would have been a path for you to go be a coach and be making be a millionaire by the time you're 30 years old coaching, because that could have been a way too. And I'm just kind of surprised that hasn't come up. That none of these other coaches that he's played for, that you work for, have been like, well, hey, man, when the football thing is over, it doesn't work out, or, you play as long as you want. Come on here, and I'm going to show you we can run this offense together. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. That has definitely been a conversation that I've had with a lot of my offensive coordinators and quarterback coaches that are now offensive coordinators.
Yeah.
But the end, like, my answer to those guys are, man, you guys are away from y'all families too much. Like my boys and my family means everything to me, right? Like being, going to practice and then coming home and seeing my 10-month-old smile and call me dad, like that means the world to me. And sitting down and game planning and all of that type stuff and being in the office 20, that's just not something I'm interested in.
Hey.
And I do it during the season because that's my job and I love to do it. And that's a sacrifice that I make, but I just can't make that sacrifice year or like. The offensive coordinators and head coach, they're doing that year around. Like they're going on recruiting visits. I'm just not interested in doing all that.
Particularly in college. Yeah, I mean the workload of an NFL quarterback is pretty crazy too. But
Right.
all right, listen, you know what, brother? I'm gonna tell you something. 2 things. One is an observation, and the second one is just an overall statement. Number one, the smartest thing you could have done after all of those headlines, should I say, headlines and heads came out, was to do what you're doing right now, is to do interviews on it, because it's very difficult to make the jokes. I was gonna go have a LinkedIn jersey made for you, and come in here and hang the jersey for you and have it like the whole 9 planet. But it's very difficult to make the jokes because you come off as a very humble, proud, and confident man. And I think
Absolutely.
that everybody looks at you, especially somebody from Ponchatoula, right? Especially somebody like me. I want to see you do well, and I want to see you get all the opportunities to do well. All right. I'm going to say that I'm going to park that and say that, and that's very important. Like you and the way that you carry yourself, how you talk, even the whole TJ Finley thing, third person, that's all cool, right? Like all of that, you come across incredibly well, and you should continue to tell your story and define yourself on your terms. The last thing that I will say is, the last thing I'll ask you is, what if they say no? What if you are not granted this extra year to go and play college football? What if the NCAA decides that TJ Finley's time as a college football player is over? What will you do?
I think I would definitely, have to declare for the NFL, right? And hope for the best. I think my thought process after that would be, how can I get my foot in the door in the CFL or the UFL if the NFL opportunity does not open, if I go, let's say I get one invite to a mini camp, right? And I go and ball out, but I'm just not the fit at that place. So, nobody else calls. I think the UFL or the CFL will be my next opportunity for the time being.
Do you think that you would get a combine invite?
To the NFL?
Yeah, if you were to do, if you were to,
No,
you don't think you
absolutely
would,
not.
if you were to declare, you don't think you would get a combine invite?
No, I don't. No.
Really?
I think like, am I tripping or like
I don't know, man.
think,
You 6'7", bro.
I don't
You know,
think you
I
might
just,
get.
but I don't think-
What makes you think you wouldn't get invited to the
physical,
combine?
but because one, I'm not a test guy. Like I'm not gonna test at all. I would just go and showcase my arm. Two, like I think guys have to earn the invite, right? I don't think I've earned, I don't think I've put together a full most recent season to earn a combine invite. I think there's a lot of guys that have, they might not, in my opinion, be as talented as I am, but they have earned the right to be at the NFL combine. That's just my take on it. Now, and I think that's another reason why I continue to do things that I do, because I do feel like, given the opportunity to go to the NFL combine, I think a lot of guys will be like, oh shucks, like, this kid can go. So yeah, I don't think I would get a combine
damn,
invite.
man. Maybe I got it all twisted, bro. You 6'7", 230, 240 with an arm. I kind of feel like that profile gets you an invite, but maybe, but we'll see. Hopefully you get that.
I think the interviews will be great for you, TJ.
I think
really
as
do.
well.
I agree. I think
Yeah.
those are very imperative to how my NFL, journey unfolds.
Well,
Yep.
listen, I'll say this. Continue to tell your story. There are people that are not going to be receptive to it.
Right.
That doesn't seem to bother you one iota. Your confidence and the fact that you are clear in the way you're articulating what it is that you're saying, I'll be honest with you, that speaks volumes. Man, after I seen you ball out in that game, I can't believe you left us, bro. I can't believe you left us, man. Like, remember, I can't believe you left us, brother. But I wish you nothing but the best in football, in life, whatever it is that you got going on.
Yes, sir.
And I think, honestly, it takes a lot of balls. If you're talking about what people want on their team, a lot of balls to come out and face the music, people that have criticisms about you, and have
Absolutely.
the conversation and tell your story. So all the best to you, man. Whether you get the next year or not, we'll continue to follow your story and give you a place to talk whenever you need one.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. TJ, if you want to come back and announce your college here, we'll do a whole commitment ceremony.
Yeah,
We'll
we
do
got
the
you.
hats.
Yeah, we got you, bro.
We'll put
Get
the hats out. We'll
Yeah.
I
do the deal.
appreciate it.
We'll
I
do the
appreciate
entire
it.
deal, man. And when
That's
you
right.
get that chance, if they do say yes, man, take advantage of that opportunity.
For
Ball,
sure.
go crazy.
For sure.
Stay healthy. All the luck in the world to you, bro. Blessings to you and your entire family.
I appreciate it. I think I want a lot of people, because I know this podcast will be out. I want a lot of people to understand this. This year that I'm fighting for, it's not like a medical a hardship or anything like that. Like, the only reason why this year and I ended up making the decision to get in the portal is because they kind of have to give me this year with me being injured in 2024, and I only played 2 games. Right? It's kind of like, the clock rule. You have 5 years to play for.
Yeah.
With 2020 not counting, and I've only played 3 seasons. This kind of would be the 4th season, but that's neither here nor there. The NCAA does have the final decision, but it's based on their rule book. This year is kind of cutthroat.
Don't taunt them, TJ. Okay,
You're right.
We gonna like
Hey,
we
somebody know.
Hey,
TJ,
y'all think
like-
Diego Pavia did something? Just watch me if they say
Okay.
no.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
There you
Nah,
go.
see,
That's
TJ,
it.
that's what you got to do. You got to ignite
Right.
us. Like, if you're going to give Diego Pavia another year, you got to give TJ Finley another year.
Absolutely.
But NCAA, we hoping that y'all give him the year. Give him
man.
the year. We
Give
not
our boy a
talking y'all.
year.
Give him a year. One more year
Give
for
him a
TJ.
year.
That's fine. I'm with it.
That's
man.
right.
I appreciate it.
One
Well,
more
I
year.
appreciate y'all having me on, man. It was a pleasure. I definitely will be back sometime this year.
No problem,
right.
brother. Stay
Thanks,
up,
TJ.
man. Blessings
You're
to
welcome
you. Stay
anytime,
healthy.
man.
All right, see
Absolutely.
TJ.
Look, here's the deal. Here's the deal. Obviously, when you guys see all of this stuff lined up, there is going to be it feels yucky if, like he said, if you're a college football traditionalist, or if you believe that there's more on the other side of football for these young men, and I do.
Yeah.
However, when you listen to somebody's story and you hear them tell his story, and he told, most of his story, there's other stuff, but like when you listen to him tell his story, he just seems really well adjusted. Like he has a vision and a goal and a plan, and he wants the opportunity to take advantage of it in a way that he quite hasn't yet. And how can you hate that? How can
No,
you hate
you
it?
can't.
You can't hate it.
Well, I
It's
can't
also
hate
good
it.
to hear his side of the story on a lot
Of
of
course.
that stuff, right?
I mean, yeah, I love that he came on. I empathize with the young man. I also just don't think it should matter if he's a good guy or not. If he was an asshole, I still think he should be able to get this year and be able to play a 7th year of college. And I actually understand being a college fan and being unnerved by the idea of a TJ Finley. We're talking about a couple of guys. Most of them are going to wash out. Eventually they're going to move on and, they'll play a season and go pro in something other than sports, or maybe they'll get their shot somewhere else. But it very rarely happens like this. And so TJ Finley is going to be sort of one of those weird characters of football that people are going to remember from time to time, and he'll come up as a meme. And I think that's, that everybody likes to have a legacy,
One retort. Total disagree. Number one, there's more guys like this than we're ever seeing before. Man, in college basketball, you're having guys that played in the G League that are now going back to college basketball teams and playing on college basketball teams.
Yeah,
I don't care what anyone says, and you guys can feel however you want to feel about it. Something has to happen here.
What?
It's like something has to happen here. You mean to tell me in college basketball, you see a guy that's going to play G League basketball for us the two things happen to me. One, and I don't want to bring this up with TJ because this is not his fault. Number one, it starts to become unfair for the young men that are coming into these sports that are now having to compete with people who are 24 years old. Their bodies are different. They've played so much more football. When we talk about the development of young players and what college football in this sport is for, and college basketball too, if you are on a college basketball team and you're competing with some guy who's 25 years old and then spent 2 seasons playing for Ignite or in the G League, I'm sorry, that's not fair. Number one.
I don't. Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
I mean, you think that that's fair for a kid to?
You're playing basically professional sports. Who cares about fair? I mean, this is a business. This is a business. Like,
so
and
then you don't care about the development of the young men that come into college and then what that means for them. You don't.
I
care
don't
about
think
that.
a dozen TJ Finleys is hurting. Is hurting in large. I think the kids that are going to be in college are going to be there and they're going to play.
As open-ended as it is.
Yeah,
they
they
should
should
figure something out, bro.
They could, but as long as the players have a seat at the table, and as long as they're part of as part of their labor rights are being represented, great. But if this is just because a few people are annoyed, I can't ride with that. I'd just rather see TJ Finley.
Well, what I'm saying is this. So there's a bunch of ways to look at it. One is the offense to our sensibilities, which is less important.
Yeah, it's
but
not important at
also
all.
we are talking about young people here, and we're talking about how we deal with young people here. And in this particular situation, I'm not talking about anybody's right to earn. I'm not talking about NIL. I'm not talking about any of that stuff. I'm sure that stuff plays a part in this. But what I'm talking about is the overall ecosystem of this. And you say there's not that many TJ Finleys, and maybe there's not, but the number is growing. And when the number continues to grow, the conversation then starts to happen Are we having a conversation about who's the best 26-year-old quarterback? Who's the best 28-year-old quarterback? What does that mean for the 18-year-old quarterback? What does that mean for the kid who really needs the scully to be able to continue to go to school and all of that stuff? What does that mean of the flow of athletes from the lower levels to the top levels, from the top levels to the lower levels? There are athletes that need that need the FCS and the Power 4 school and the Group of 5 schools. They need to be able to shine there so they get a chance at the league. And if all of this stuff,
spots.
Yeah, if all of this stuff gets murky, then there does get a point to where we have to step in and look at what's best for the young people that are involved in these sports.
I mean, I just think we're coming out of a very weird era of football that didn't count a year because of COVID. I feel like most of these guys are washing out, and he's a rare exception. And when it's over, it'll be over. There's a reason you don't hear about 50 TJ Finleys is because most people want to go on and make some either they're good enough to go play professional or they just stop being worth the investment. And I think TJ Finley is probably at about the end of that road now, right? He's not asking for an 8th year. It'll be over after this year, and that poor kid in Ponchatoula, Louisiana, or Lubbock, Texas, or Henrietta, Oklahoma, is going to get their shot to play at Central Oklahoma, okay? They'll be fine. They're going to get it.
Until somebody went up to Wazoo and it didn't work for them, or somebody went to somewhere else and it didn't work for them, and it's a lot easier to take the chance on somebody that is older, you have to do less work for than it is to develop a younger athlete. I don't need to have the last word, though. Fuck them, Joe. You're right. Fuck those kids. Michael Jordan shit. Fuck them.